AITA for telling my in-laws that my toddler has breast milk with his cereal? My son is 15 months. Just over a year. And as such is still nursing. I don't see the point in giving him cow's milk and freezing pump milk, so I just put my breast milk over his cereal or in recipes I'm going to make him. He does have cow's milk. Just not regularly. My in-laws are currently staying with us. This morning I put my son in his high chair, fed him his cereal and left him to his own devices. My Phil was in the kitchen, so I left to go wake up my oldest. Anyway, I bring her down and find my Phil finishing my son's cereal. I laughed a little but went along with my morning. When we all sat down to eat, my Phil commented that the milk in my son's cereal tasted weird. Asked if it was off. I then told him that he had breast milk in his. Our milk isn't off. I swear he looked like he was going to keel over and vomit. He was angry and asked why I'd watch him drink it and not tell him. My Mill stepped in and agreed. I know he finishes everyone's meals and I should have told him beforehand. I do agree that I should have at least told him when he was eating it, but TBH I thought he saw me tip it from the bottle. My husband is on damage control and has agreed with all of us. He understands all POVs etc. So, AITA for not telling them I make his cereal with breast milk? I bring her down and find my Phil finishing my son's cereal. I laughed a little but went along with my morning. I do agree that I should have at least told him when he was eating it, but TBH I thought he saw me tip it from the bottle. You're not the for feeding your child, but you are the because you saw Phil eating it and laughed instead of saying something. You thought it was amusing. YTA for not saying anything to your Phil and assuming he saw you pour it from the bottle. There's a saying, assuming makes an ass out of you and me. ETA. Even explains this to the judgment bot. I made my son's cereal with breast milk knowing my Phil would probably finish it. I didn't tell him prior or when I saw him eating it. Another edit. Added to my judgment. I never said Phil wasn't wrong for eating after another, or more specifically, a child. Just the fact she lied by omission. Meaning she deliberately left out important details. He shouldn't be eating after kids, but is the bigger for letting him continue. A bit here. You should have told him immediately when you saw him eating your son's meal that he had breast milk in the cereal. But also, what full-grown adult just helps them to any and all food they just see laying around? Especially a baby's? I made my son's cereal with breast milk knowing my Phil would probably finish it. I didn't tell him prior or when I saw him eating it. This, from the judgment bot AITA, pretty much sums up why YTA. It's kind of weird for your Phil to just help himself to your baby's food. But there's no reason you couldn't have said something, especially after you saw him eating the cereal. Why did you laugh and not say anything to him? YTA. 15 months. Just over a year. We know how long a year is. Yeah. YTA. You didn't have any obligation to warn him in advance or anything. But when you saw him eating it, you should have said something immediately. YTA. You aren't the asshole for not warning Phil ahead of time. You are an asshole for watching him do it and not saying anything. You had to guess that this was something he'd want to know. I'm not buying your "thought he saw me" excuse. You're not tough for telling him. You're a bit of an for not telling him. It would have been fair to assume your Phil did not realize what he was drinking and mentioned it ASAP. I don't think you'd expect him to be willingly guzzling your milk. That said, cow's milk is a weirder concept if you overlook how normalized it has become. I'm overall going YTA. It would have been easy to just let him know. I know he finishes everyone's meals and I should have told him beforehand. Is this something you know? If so, you should have given him the heads up. If not, then I can't imagine why you would have needed to warn him in advance. Although laughing when you saw him drink it, rather than telling him, was a bit of an move. YTA, you should have told him once you saw him eating it and subsequently laughing at him over this. NGL, you really had me at, my son is 15. It's gross to finish a baby's nasty ass leftover cereal and milk either way. WTF is wrong with your Phil? I think you're a minor asshole for not telling him when he was finishing it off. Though the title is misleading. I don't believe you assumed he saw you pour it. Otherwise you wouldn't have found it funny he was eating it. If you assumed he knew it was breast milk, I can guarantee your reaction would have been, OMG, what the hell, that's so creepy. AITA for being creeped out by my Phil drinking my breast milk. So yes, YTA. No one wants unsolicited bodily fluids of any kind in them, and as an adult you should have had the maturity to not giggle and stop him, inform him. YTA for not telling him sooner. NTA, why didn't he ask you if he could finish it? You could have saved the rest for later. By the time you saw him he had already eaten some of it anyways. In this day and age, aren't people afraid of getting sick and sharing germs? Is this post for real? You laughed, and went about your morning. Yes. You are the awe for not saying anything and literally laughing. No. You are in awe for giving your child milk from your breast. The world is so weird anymore. JFC. Esh. You could have told him earlier, since it's the polite thing to do. But never in a million years would I eat after a toddler. With all the germy things kids get into. Why would your Phil do that? Esh, I'm so sorry, but your whole family is weird, and that's coming from a real weirdo myself. Eating leftover baby's food from someone else's baby is a weird thing to even consider. Let alone to do so without asking? Then your reaction to chuckle to yourself about the whole thing instead of saying there is breast milk in it. I mean, he'll be fine, he will live. But it's the aspect of knowing he would be psychologically weirded out by it and you choosing not to say anything and just shrug it off. Super weird man, LMAO. I think you all need to do some studying in human interaction, and I don't mean that condescendingly. I truly mean it, for your own good. If he hadn't brought up the topic of milk tasting funky, would you have ever told him? Or would you have been okay with him finishing your kid's cereal in the future as well? YTA. Not for giving your kid breast milk, but for not letting people in the house know so that they could avoid it. YTA for laughing and not saying anything when you came back and saw him eating the cereal.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. AmITheAsshole is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.